grab a hold of it. Oh.
It was the most exciting 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes of my life. You know, I honestly thought I was going to have a heart attack.
Didn't think they made them like this anymore.
Didn't get real excited right away until after he was down on the ground, and then I really started shaking.
I tell you one thing, I'd do it all over again tomorrow if I could.
Deer season, it's the most anticipated time of year for hunters. Each fall, hundreds of thousands participate in the annual harvest with hopes and expectations that just maybe they'll bag a trophy buck of a lifetime. At deer camps throughout the North Country, stories of the good old days are passed on from generation to generation. And nowhere is this tradition more deeply rooted than in the beautiful Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Well, when I first started hunting, you could get 3 deer of any kind. 75 cents for a license. You could get 3 deer with any sex, you know. And I used to get 3 when I was 14.
Of course, it was a matter of
There were lots of deer them days, and big deer, big horns, big antlers.
The good old days produced many older-aged, big-bodied bucks. Hunting pressure was light, which enabled woodsmen to track and stalk trophy bucks. Now, following World War II, hunting pressure in the UP began to rise, but the number of hunters willing to wait long hours at the Straits of Mackinac was relatively low. Claude Kennedy of downstate DeWitt remembers those days.
I like to wait at the Straits, really. That was more fun. You met a lot of people. You know, everybody is everybody's friend. And all of them, some of them, one year come up here and here's 2 guys on a motorcycle with a sidecar going deer hunting.
So how are they planning to get a deer home?
Well, I don't know. I don't know that. But that was really funny because they were in line with us. And we used to have, maybe 6 or 7 or 8 of us used to come up here every year. And always enjoyed it. And with very few years that we ever missed getting our buck.
The opening of the Mackinac Bridge brought about a substantial increase in hunting pressure, but the UP was still producing many quality older-age bucks. In the 1980s, Commemorative Bucks of Michigan became the state's official record keepers of big game animals, and the UP was well represented.
There's been some tremendous bucks as far as antler size taken in the UP as well as across the state in the last few years.
Do you think it's more just because commemorative bucks has been more visible on the scene, or do you think it's just because more big bucks have been coming out of the state?
It's a combination of the two. Certainly Commemorative Bucks of Michigan is becoming more widely known among hunters. Hunters who take big deer are anxious to find out what the antlers on those animals score. So they're taking, hunters who take big deer are more likely to get them measured now than they used to years ago. But there is an increase in production of big bucks too, and I think hunters are more knowledgeable about big buck hunting now too than they used to be, which increases the number of big deer, older age class bucks that are being taken by hunters.
Behind every trophy buck, there's a story. It may be one of determination or skill, or even luck. I'm Buck Levasseur. What you're about to see are Upper Peninsula Trophy bucks and the stories behind them. Now, many of these tales were recorded shortly after the event, so the excitement can still be detected in the voices of the hunters. Baraga County is known for its big bucks, and here's a good example of that. The year is 1989, an exceptional season for many area hunters, including Tim Tebby of Ishpeming.
Yeah, I'd been out hunting in the morning and the storm was coming in. I kind of give up on the hunt for the day because of the wind and everything. The guy, my hunting partner, Jim, he says, well, we'll skin my buck out and then we'll go dump the tin cans out behind the house there in the dump and take a ride around the perimeter, you know. And I kind of laughed. He says, you never know when you'll see a big one. We dumped the cans and the noise from that must have jumped this one out of his bed because we just went around the corner and there he was prancing across the field. And he took a shot at it, missed it, and then he said, well, I'll go in the woods and see if I can chase him out to you. And sure enough, he came out right about where we expected. And a long shot, but about 200 yards across the hayfield. And he dropped. I was just amazed that he dropped, you know, that distance.
What are you shooting?
A 308.
At 200 yards?
At 200 yards.
Yeah.
And it was just, like I said, I was amazed that I hit it even. And then when we did get up the deer, it was right straight through the heart and lungs. And he went about 20 yards after I hit him and dropped.
Do you ever shoot at 200 yards? Do you ever think you'd take that long of a shot?
Well, I'm a member of the National Guard, and one of our rifle shots is 400 yards, 300 to 400 yards. And I missed every time. So there's got to be an awful lot of luck, you know, to hit.
'89 was also the year that Robbie Dellis of Michigami took this Baraga County trophy. The 16-pointer scored 198 and 4/8 and qualified for Boone and Crockett. The buck ranks as the 7th all-time best non-typical for Baraga County and number 41 in the state.
The 4th morning of season, I was sitting in the blind shivering, and about 8:45, I looked out to my left, and I seen him coming in, and he stopped, and I got ready, and he took about 3, 4, 5 more steps toward me, and he was in a clearing, and I shot. As soon as I shot, he took off. I seen his tail was down, so I went over there and looked, and there was a few hairs, and I waited a few minutes, and I started tracking him, and he went about 1,000 feet or so, and he never bled an ounce. And then when we went that far, he started to bleed, and I started tracking him, and he started bleeding heavier. And he had laid down once, and I must have scared him up again. And the second time he was laying down, I was going under a cedar tree, almost on my hands and knees, and I couldn't shoot. He got away on me again. And about 5, 10 minutes later, I caught up with him the third time. He was down, and I shot him in the neck, and he turned around and looked at me, and I shot him again. And that was it.
From the moment that you first shot at him and first saw him to that moment where you didn't find a blood trail, were you a little bit concerned?
Well, was I ever. I thought I blew it. Yeah, I was scared, because I knew he was big, you know, and I didn't want to blow it, but I thought I did.
Ed Hall of Chassel appeared to be having a bad day. He was breaking trail with his 3-wheeler in 10 inches of fresh snow. He had been stuck twice and was about to be stuck a third time when, lo and behold, up ahead was a magnificent 10-pointer. The 4th best all-time typical for Baraga County.
I couldn't believe he was staying there. So I got off and I got my gun out and I got it one shell in. I didn't know if I should put a clip in or not, and I thought, well, I better not take the time. And so I stepped out from behind the balsams and took a shot, and he turned to 180 and headed for the swamp. So that's where he ended up, about 200 yards.
When heavy November snows come to the Huron Mountain region, deer head for cover. Hunters who do their homework and know these routes are generally successful. Illinois hunter Hank Nault was right on one of these trails back in November of 1987. His 14-pointer was one of 2 trophies he saw traveling together.
Well, the buck here was chasing another one. I couldn't see the horns on the other one, but so I had to pick this buck and I dropped it. And the other buck that turned around and went back west again was about the same size as this, and almost followed the wrong buck and turned around and went to where I heard the big crash off the east of me a little ways, and there he laid in the leaves, big rack there, and I think my heart skipped a few beats there, but I went to drag him out after I got him. I just pulled on the horns like this, and he said no, he wasn't going, so I just left him there and went and got help to get him dragged in.
He must have been heavy.
Yeah, weighed 232 pounds, plenty proud of it. Hope we can get that other one next year, but I doubt we'll ever be able to do as good. It'll be all downhill hunting from here.
Well, 1987 was sure a memorable year for big bucks in the Upper Peninsula. Louis Roy of Lance took state honors that fall with a 10-point Boone and Crockett buck that still remains the #1 all-time typical for Baraga County and the #2 all-time for the state of Michigan.
What does it say on your hat?
Go ahead, buck, make my day.
That's what it says on your hat.
That's what it says.
This buck did make your day, didn't it?
Yeah, this buck sure did make my day. Yeah.
Tell me about it, Louis.
Well, like I said, I was hunting in a saddle on a ridge line, and the second day of season, and he come from my right, and first thing I seen was his head and his horns, and I didn't get real excited right away until after he was down on the ground, and then I really started shaking. And then I didn't want to get off I was on a little bluff, and I didn't want to get down from the bluff because I'd have to take my eyes off him, so I sat there for about 10 minutes to make sure he was dead, wouldn't move, and then I walked down the bluff and around and went over, and I tried to move him, and I couldn't move him at all, so I had to clean him right there. You couldn't believe that you could finally see something like this in the woods after how many years of hunting. I've started hunting when I was 13, 14 years old, and I've got many deer, but nothing this size.
Man, what a deer.